Is Talk with Camilla. It is Monday, and Camilla is joining us very soon. Camilla, for those that may not know, Camilla is a psychotherapist. And for those that don't know what psychotherapy is, it is mental health, folks, and it is what people call talk therapy. So, psychotherapy, different from psychiatry and different from psychology. It's really where you work with people, helping them from talking through a lot of their issues, emotions, and really helping them from a mental awareness, mental health perspective. Many years of schooling, many years of practice, very accredited. And I'm very privileged to have Camilla join us and just continue to share with our growing community how to stay grounded, how to stay positive. A lot of people coming into what we're all dealing with here are going to come out a whole lot stronger than they came in. And then there may be some people that get stuck. There may be some people, but one thing I want to share with everybody today is if you're breathing air, you're human. If you have worked in the realm of personal development for many years, you're still human. And the real difference from everything I've learned in life and as we're growing is those that quit and those that keep going. We can complicate it. We can make it what it is. We all have our moments. Every single human in this world, if you were to say that you never had, I'm not too sure. I've worked with a lot of people over the years, thousands and thousands on a global level, and we're all human. So we can all shed some tears. We can all be vulnerable, but we're here to help each other and we're here to do for the good. And that being said, having someone like Camilla who has worked in pandemics in her past, she's worked with crisis situations and really understands and really comes at it from a very compassionate level, but also there to really help people that want to be helped. And she's done a lot of work with our essential workers, our frontline workers, and we just kind of want to be in the know and be aware. And it's just a real blessing to have her come in and share some tips and things that we can take note of to stay grounded. So today, Camilla's going to be talking a little bit about what we all call anxiety. So for those that have been following us, folks, anxiety is really, at least how I'm learning and understanding it, anxiety is really when you start worrying about tomorrow and not living today in the now. We start overthinking about things of tomorrow versus staying in the now. So she's going to be sharing a little bit about anxiety and listening to your gut, which is that sometimes we get belly knots or, just listening to that. I'm not too sure if I really like this, or, oh my God, I really like this. So she's going to join us today, and we're going to have a bit of a conversation around, well, what is anxiety and how do you listen to your gut? And it's really about talking with Camilla. So I'm excited to have her on board. She should be with us soon. I took a few minutes to make sure that we got connected with Facebook Live. And when we bring people in, we do use different tools, and my first attempt at it didn't connect me, so I had to do a second attempt at it. So for those that have been doing this for some time, if it's easy for them, I think that's amazing, but it's kind of like the old story, no one person can walk in another person's shoes, so I could be missing a step. So sometimes it takes me a little bit longer, but I'm okay with that. So we are soon, I'm just actually going to check to make sure that Camilla's not in a waiting room, and we're going to be bringing her on in a moment. So just one moment, folks. I'm going to give her just a quick bring it out. There we are. So that being said, I'm just going to bring Camilla in. And for those that are watching, Camilla is just joining us now. And really happy to have her. So, good morning. Hello. Can you hear me okay?
I certainly can. I'm just going to up my volume a little bit here.
Perfect. and did the same on my end. So we're live on Facebook. We'll get better at this each time. I want to be 100% live, not 95% live sometimes. So, but we are on Facebook right now. And for those that are watching, I had the privilege of, just introducing you, and just really, it's such a blessing to have you, and a blessing to be able to bring you into this community to give little tips just to keep us grounded, safe. And so I had the opportunity to share with everybody listening today that we're going to be revisiting the topic of anxiety, but anxiety and your gut.
Yes, you know what? I've been, how do you say, doing a little bit of research, because my interest has been during COVID as to what can we do to, how do you say, increase our immune system, strengthen our immune system. And so in doing that, I've coming up with some more research, which is what I love to do.
Yes.
And found some really interesting things regarding anxiety and your anxiety in your gut. So I know we talked in the past about serotonin in the gut. Mm-hmm. And so the interesting thing is that we're now getting more information, and these are recent studies, like 2019 and 2020, actually. So I'm just struggling. Sorry, my apologies. I'm struggling to find my file on the computer right now. And I don't know why it's not popping up, but I want to be able to quote it properly.
And now, with that being said, and for everybody that's watching, I'm going to share a couple of things that are really, I think they're important to highlight. We're all here to help each other. And we continue to do that. We want to continue to do that. I think it's important for our following to understand as well that as a psychotherapist, you're coming from an accredited background that have helped many, many people. And we are in a world where there's a lot of wonderful information. I think it's important that when we're looking at these studies, Camilla, you're able to speak from the perspective of, oh, that's a valid study. That's the right intel, because there's a lot of information out there, but I think it's good that we know it's coming from reputable sources. Would that be, that to me is very dear, because when we get into the realm of, mental health and truly helping people, there's a lot of people out there, they want the help. They want to grow. They're ready. They want it, or they're recognizing that something's just not right, but I don't want to stay like this. So I think it's such an important thing to recognize. We're all here to help, but even more important to recognize that we're also learning, we want to be able to be working with professionals, people that are coming from kind of the proven. I think that that's just a very dear thing and important to know. I have a brother who's he was clinically diagnosed, and if it wasn't for the professionals that he went to, I would really have a concern at this point. So thank you for being with us and representing.
Thank you. Okay, so give me 3 seconds. I'm just going to pull up my paper version because I printed it out. Hang on one second.
Okay. So everybody that's watching, folks, Camilla we're really here today. We're going to talk a little bit about anxiety and your gut. So being a psychotherapist, it's very much looking at factual based information that's sort of proven out, if you will. And, we're all here to continue to help grow. And it's never just kind of one area, but Camilla is going to be sharing some information around some interesting new studies that have come out that really go hand in hand with.
Okay, I'm back.
And we're going to defer to Camilla. Okay, so we've got the paper.
Yeah, technical difficulties. My apologies. I'm not an expert in figuring this stuff out. But anyway, so this is interesting research. So I apologize. I'm going to be looking down instead of looking up for today. This is research that what they're looking at is how your physical health impacts mental health disorders. And so this was a particular interest to me because the recent research is showing that it's not all in your brain. And so that's important, right? Because most of the research that we've always been doing has been looking at mental health disorders and brain research. And so now the research is shifting to your gut. So that's it's an interesting interesting, I guess, concept altogether. And so this again is very, very recent research. So let me just say the first research is the Journal of Neuroscience. And what they have found is that when you are stressed, so when there's a stress trigger, right? What ends up happening is all these hormones, stress hormones, get released. And the interesting thing is it increases the permeability of your intestines. So this is fairly new. This is research that is 2020. Okay. So with increasing permeability of your intestines, what happens is a lot of toxins go through there and end up in your bloodstream. Also, there are inflammation markers that through the bloodstream travel into your brain and now trigger an anxiety response. So they have never seen this before. And so now, so then from there, you know, we're sparking research on the microbes of your gut to say what's going on there. What is that all about? And I know that many, how do you say, naturopaths and nutritionists have always spoken about the microbiomes of your gut and the flora, bacterial flora, and been proponents of that. But now there's actual research in to prove that it's related to mental health, specifically to anxiety. And this is really, really good news.
Wow.
Because it means that we can do something about it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So then there's research that I also looked at. This is really interesting. So this is research from 2019 of last year, where they reviewed a bunch of studies that were done. And they looked at, this is in the general psychiatry journals. So there were many studies that looked at your diet and how that impacts mental health. And out of they reviewed 21 studies, but 15 of them they found had a real impact, statistically significant impact with respect to mental health. You know, and out of the 15, 5 showed a positive effect towards probiotics. The other 10 were all about, your diet. So specifically, what are we talking about here? It's looking at, let me see if I can pronounce this correctly. It's, oh my gosh. I know my mom says it all the time and trying to find the right word. Certain kinds of vegetables, fibrous, no, I can't even pronounce it. Anyways, it's broccoli and asparagus and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts, and all of these vegetables also promote good flora in your gut. And then the second thing is fermenting foods. So I guess yogurt or sauerkraut also increase good flora. So if your diet consists mostly of those two things, your flora is going to be, your gut flora is going to be healthier, which not only is good for your mental health, but it's also really good for your immune system. And now that, through COVID and everything, we're going to, anxiety is skyrocketing. Yeah. Even though people are eating at home, my instinct is people are not eating healthier.
And I would have to agree with that as well. I know I used to share this sugar and salt. When my kids were younger, I used to tell them, guys, sugar and salt are the 2 biggest drugs on this earth. Be careful. Everything you look at in the grocery store, start looking. Come on, like there's a reason why. Sugar, do we need all of that? Do we really need all that? And then, and how I started to uncover this was more than a decade. We were trying to reduce the amount of sodium, and my husband had slightly high blood pressure. Everything was healthy, but his blood pressure was a little high. He had to go and get some work done on his teeth, and this is when it came up. So we were looking at all the ingredients, and always high in salt and always high in sugar. So I'm like, what happens when we start pulling that stuff out? Because I know for me, when I want I tend to, if I start to have breads or French fries, I just want more. Like it's like a drug for me. I just want more. I
Addictive.
have to be careful with that stuff because I've learned over the years that's what it does to me. So it took me a few years to discipline myself to say, okay, I'm only going to have a few French fries a couple times a year. That's it. Or else I'll go through 5 days and just eat fries. But I've recognized that that's what works for me. Little sneak.
Right.
Yeah. Direct correlation.
Yeah, and I'm sure, having your fries every once in a while is probably not that big of a deal, but we're talking about your regular diet on a, consistent basis. What are you eating most of the time? I know the food guide recently changed, and so it's 3/4 fruits and vegetables, and then 1/4 of dairy and protein. And I would say, my mom has been eating that way most of her life. Most of her life. And for being 76, she's quite healthy.
Wow.
Hmm. So I think that the food guide is going in the right direction. And also, it's good for your mental health, which of course is my primary interest. And now, given the situation that we're all experiencing with COVID and anxiety and depression running rampant, yes, there is something we can do. In fact, when we first shut down, I ran to the health food store and got a bunch of supplements, but one of which is probiotics, and that's what they recommended. So as I'm creating my vitamin list, they were like, have you thought about probiotics? And I thought, oh my God, I completely forgot. They're like, let me get this for you. It's so important to have that as part of your regular regime, especially during stressful times.
Yeah. I know years ago, Camilla, we had our youngest daughter. She was born really early, and going to a naturopath, the two things that were I found the biggest immunity boosters were the probiotics that we used to give her. And we used to buy them, just acidophilus is what we would buy, and we would buy it in the highest form.
Yes.
There's different rates. And even a couple years ago, when my dad was living with us, he was not well, we were giving him the highest dosage of probiotics.
Yeah, you know what? It's so important. So I guess why I'm sharing this information today is really to point to the fact that if you are experiencing, anxiety, there is something that you can do about it, and it's impacted through your diet. And last time we spoke about how the diet, also your gut diet, was important with the secretion of serotonin, which also impacts depression. So there are many things that we can do to take charge of our mental health, and it's through diet.
Yeah. I I really appreciate the correlation,
Oh,
because your body kind of, like you can think of it kind of similar to, even a vehicle. You treat the vehicle properly, you put the right oil in, or you maintain it, then it lasts much longer. But it requires fuel. So fuel comes in the form of what we're physically, like all of the nutrients that you put in. What do we eat? Are we eating food, or are we eating nutrients? Because I've looked at them as different, right? You can eat a lot of stuff, but that's not necessarily nutrient.
right. And I also want to say that if you have had anxiety or depression for a long time, um, just simply changing your diet may not have an immediate effect. And you still may need to have regular medication or prescription medication. So please, speak to your doctor or your mental health professional regarding proper treatment. But I would say diet is a long-term solution to getting your entire body into good shape.
Yes. A wonderful, and maybe at some point, Camilla, with your permission, it does kind of bring me to a couple people that we know. And I know one gentleman, Lester Bailey, and I'll reference him. Lester Bailey, a few years ago, had diabetes and other conditions. He was a retired police officer. He got comfortable with, you know, becoming retired and eating
Right.
what he wanted. And well, it started to affect the weight. And he just, stayed in that state until he decided, I don't like the way I feel. I don't like, and did something about it. So it started with walking. And then slowly that led to, he kept that consistent, started to revisit what he was eating and started to make adjustments. Now there is an herbal, I'm familiar, he also very much into herbal, and there's another tea, but it's all about making himself healthier. So over time, he shifted his diet, shifted everything. And this man is he is a completely different person than who he used to be, but from how it helped. And now he doesn't have the signs of diabetes anymore.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Many people I've spoken to have reversed medical conditions without prescription drugs. And of course, that's always the healthier option, but I'm going to say it takes extreme discipline. So you have to know yourself. You have to be able to be disciplined to make the necessary life changes. And if you're not, medication is your other option, right? But good for Lester. It's awesome. Yeah. It's possible.
It's possible, but I think what I'm really hearing, Camilla, is you absolutely want to have quality of life. And there are some where medication is it's required at certain points, but you want to be able to have quality.
Yeah, for some people it is. And all I'm going to say is you have to know yourself. Yeah. And where you're at. And so working with a professional, because I get a lot of people that say, I don't want to be on medication, I don't want to even start. So we go through the different protocols and treatments, and for some people it works, and for some people it doesn't. They're just not able to be that disciplined in their life. Or for example, they will do some, let's say, treatments that we give them for 3 days, and then they'll say, Camilla, it didn't work. It's like, well, if I worked out for 3 days, would I be healthy? If I had a salad once a week, would it work? No, this is a long-term solution, right? Yeah. Yeah. So if you're willing to be that disciplined, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, it does make a difference. I took on mindfulness. I've shared this before. I'm now 2.5 years in, 2.5 years, not 2.5 weeks. Yeah. That's how long it's taken for me to start. Not 2.5 years, but I've seen the effects after, let's say, 8 or 9 months. But yeah. I start to see the effects after you're doing these natural treatments, let's say, over a long enough period of time. A couple of days or a couple of weeks just isn't going to cut it. But if you're one of those that wants to take it on and live a healthier lifestyle, I'm just excited because it tells me that it's a possibility. Whereas before, we were at the effects of big pharma, and that was it.
Thank you so much, Camilla, and 1,000%. It's all about trial and process of elimination. Have your professional guidance in the process. Don't self-diagnose yourself. Just listen to your body, listen to it. But recognize that it's a direct correlation. Whatever we eat is part of it. It's not just, we can anything we want and think what we want. It all ties together, is what I'm really hearing.
Yeah, and actually the new research that they're because of this research, what they're doing right now is looking at certain bacterial strains that are the right strains for gut flora that impact your mental health. So now they're going to be identifying what that is, where I would say probiotics is just general strains. Now they're going to be identifying specifically which ones are the ones that making the difference. So research is promising. And I know, look, we live in a fast world, fast food. If we could pop a pill and get our flora in our gut, good shape, then that's what we want. And I think that's the direction research is going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, the beautiful thing is, well, first of all, we've come such a long way that the facts are there. The science is there. It's not a question of myth. It all interconnects. And we, I think what I'm kind of really, really hearing is we really do have the ability to be able to empower ourselves to an extent. It's not just, okay, we do this. There's answers out there for everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. I always love having you. Thank you so much for being here. And for those that are watching, folks, Camilla is a psychotherapist expert in crisis management, pandemics. She has a practice. And for those that may want to learn a little bit more about Camilla, you're welcome to look her up, and let's talk with Camilla LaFranco. And Camilla is with us Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for half an hour, just sharing little tips of, new data, just really about how we stay balanced, positive, mindful, and just, we're in a new world, but it's what we do with this new world that keeps us and gives us options at the end of the day. So I wish everybody an awesome Monday. Camilla, thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to having you back on Wednesday.
Monday.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.